Alright, so this is going to be a guide on how to build Shorekeeper and teams, weapons, how exactly she works. So let's get into it.
I am here to serve your will.
Shh. We're just going to start with the build first, and I'll explain everything later as we go. Okay, so obviously the best echoes are going to be the Rejuvenating Glow set. Okay, now as for the stats, okay, let's get into it. So for 4 cost, you can either use the new Echo, Fallacy of Return, or you can use Bellborn. Bellborn's just good at keeping you alive, and he can give you a 10% damage boost. It's great. It's great. But Fallacy of Return is also good as well, and he does damage, and his damage is based off of HP as well. And you can get 10% energy regen and 10% bonus attack from him as well. Pretty good echo. Either or works. Now for the stats, alright, you can do HP, healing bonus, and crit damage. Why HP is important is because her healing is scaled off of HP. Her intro skill damage is also scaled off of HP. Not to mention, so is Fallacy of No Returns damage. Healing bonus helps with the healing. For crit damage, because her intro skill is like the only meaty damage that Shorekeeper can do, and that's because it is guaranteed to crit. I should mention, when I speak of intro skill, I mean the super intro skill. Okay, this is after you get the 3rd tier of the domain expansion, her ult, and then you swap to her, she'll do a super cool animation, super intro skill that is guaranteed to crit. I'll talk about that a little bit more, but having crit damage would be great. As for the 3 cost echoes, I'm going to have to recommend for both of them to be energy regen, because you're going to want at max 250% energy regen, and that is because through her ult you can get a max of 12.5% crit rate and 25% crit damage. It states here for every 0.2% of Shorekeeper's energy regen, all party members gain 0.1 or 0.01% increase of crit rate, and that goes to the same, and the same goes for the crit damage. Okay, so 250% is what you're gonna want at max. So to help you get that, you're obviously gonna want energy regen on your 3 cost echoes. However, if you do manage to get 250% through other means, like you have her signature weapon, which is going to get a huge 77% energy regen at max level. Maybe you have good substats as well. Energy regen through the substats. You might be able to just throw on HP, but the likely scenario is that you're going to want energy regen on both 3 cost echoes. Okay, now of course for the 1 cost echoes, you're gonna want HP because more healing, more damage from her intro skill as well. As for substats, HP, energy regen, crit damage. Yeah, I guess I should mention that the intro skill is also considered liberation damage too. So another substat that isn't bad is liberation damage. For the weapon, as I mentioned before, her signature is going to be the best at max level. Here, it's going to be at 77% energy regen, which is going to be huge for Shorekeeper. At R1, it's going to boost your HP at 12%, which isn't huge, but it's nice. It's nice to have, I guess. And then you have the restoration of 8 Concerto energy when casting Liberation. Concerto energy is important because her outro skill amplifies your damage by 15%. And when using your resonance skill that heals, increases nearby party members' attack by 14% for 30 seconds. That's nice. In my opinion, you don't really need it because a perfect alternative weapon exists, and that is variation. The options are limited though for alternatives, but if you have a variation, you are good to go. Or you could use Rectifier 25, I think it was called, or whatever. That has an energy regen main stat, but what's most important here is the Concerto energy. And variation has that in its weapon passive. R1, it will be 8 Concerto energy upon skill cast, which is simple. A simple skill cast and you get 8 Concerto energy. Of course, you can have up to max 16 Concerto energy at rank 5, which is going to be huge. So yeah, It's going to be great. Not to mention the energy regen, I do believe at max level is going to be 55%.
Nope.
Signature is good. If you don't have the signature, variation is what you really want. Now, let's talk about her skills real quick, okay? What does her Forte circuit do? Quickly butting in here because dummy was a dummy. All right, said something wrong. So yeah, what her Forte circuit actually does is suck in enemies, and if there are any collapsed cores, which are these balls that spawn from basic attacks, they will turn into butterflies and then attack the sucked enemies, you know, the suckage. Alright, just basic suck and damage. That's all you really need to know. Alright, continue on, okay? The damage isn't going to be huge, but it's just nice. What does her skill do? It heals, but it also throws out butterflies as well. Her normal attack will, of course, help you get the Forte circuit. All you need is 4 attacks. All right, it's a 4 attack string, but that's all you need for a full Forte circuit. If you use your skill and follow up with a basic attack, you'll start the cycle from stage 2 in the basic attacks. All right, butting in again because stupid guy was stupid. So for her ult, it actually has 3 stages. There's an outer, an inner, and then supernal. Normally, after you cast the ult in the first place, it will be at its outer stage, okay? And what its outer stage is going to do is provide healing every 3 seconds, okay? Each stage will offer different buffs. Now, how you get to different stages is by using intro skills. So when you cast the ult and use your first intro skill, it will turn into the inner stage, which will provide you the crit rate buff. When you cast your next intro skill, it will transform into the third stage, the supernal stage. This will give you the crit damage buff. So ideally, in a scenario, you want to save that third stage for your DPS character, in my opinion. So when you're doing your team rotation, just the last intro skill should be from your DPS character. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter as long as the third stage is there. Also, I can't believe I forgot to mention this, but the coolest thing about Shorekeeper is when you hold her heavy attack, when you don't have a Forte circuit full, you turn into a butterfly. It's very neat. Alright, you can run around pretty fast, grab flowers, go across water. It also nullifies fall damage. It's very nice, very awesome, very mindful. Very demure. The rotation is going to look like, it's going to look like this. Do your shit until you have your ult and concerto all filled up. That way you can cast your outro skill and then cast your echo and your ult. Swap off, hopefully with your outro skill. That way you get the 15% damage amplification. And then preferably, you're going to want to swap to your sub DPS, right? Swap it to the sub DPS, do your sub DPS stuff, swap to your main DPS, and you should be getting that supernal or super form, which will give you the crit damage. I am sorry if I suck at speaking right now. I'm terrible, but I apologize. I hope it's making sense for you. Now, what happens when you use Shorekeeper's intro skill while this form is up? Doing Shorekeeper's intro skill will cast that super intro that I was talking about earlier, which is very cool looking, by the way. This is going to be where her only good damage comes from, but it will take away your ult. It like consumes it. Not a big deal because, you know, hopefully when you got a good rotation going on, you can just start that whole thing up, especially when you got a lot of energy regen going on. It should be no problem. That's basically how she works. As for some other things to take note, her inherent skill, the first one, will keep you from dying at least once every 10 minutes. Get hit by a fatal blow, you'll be healed 50% of Shorekeeper's HP. Her other inherent skill also increases your energy regen by 10%, and if you have Rover on the team, it increases their energy regen by 10% as well. So that's huge. The outro skill not only increase your damage, but it also gives you a this unique dodge thing. So if you get like knocked in the air, tapping the dodge button will like count as a dodge. It's a nice recovery thing. If I had to recommend a process of skill levels, always go for the guaranteed inherent skills first. Always nice to have. Then you could go for, in my opinion, skill, Forte circuit, liberation, and then intro skill you're gonna want leveled up a little bit as well. Normal skill, you don't really need it because it's not gonna do the craziest damage, but if you wanted to, sure, save that for last. As well as these other stats. In general, I like to save these for last. You know, they're not absolutely needed. Let's talk about teams. As you know, Shorekeeper is like a Verena, but better. So she, of course, is going to be flexible in many different teams because she just amplifies damage. So she can fit with anybody. In my opinion, it's best to fit her with characters that are able to get their outro skill very efficiently. So like Yinlin, Mortefi, Yang Yang, you know, characters like that. So it doesn't take as much field time. Like a Jinxie Shorekeeper Yinlin team could work. A Shangli Yao Shorekeeper Yinlin team could work. A Havoc Rover team could work as well. Yeah. I mean, she's pretty flexible with a lot of different teams, so yeah, I think that's about it. Again, I apologize if I suck at speaking. I hope everything makes sense. If you have any questions, let me know down below. I'll try and answer them the best I can. If I got any info wrong, please correct me down below as well. Let me know if I said anything wrong, because I know I'm stupid. I'm very well aware that I can be stupid, so yeah. Anyway, if this did help you and you like me, subscribe and like, and I'll see you, Chad Muffins, in the next one. Peace out.
Yeah.